Long ago, in a quiet village nestled between whispering hills and a silver river, there lived a boy named Elias. He had no parents, no warm hearth to call his own, and no one who truly called him friend. The villagers said his mother had been a wanderer who left him at the old oak tree when he was barely able to walk. They took him in out of duty, but never out of love. Elias was small for his 10 years, with dark hair that fell over kind grey eyes and hands that trembled when he was nervous. But those hands held a secret gift. He was a healer. A true one. When someone was hurt or sick, a soft golden light would bloom from his palms like dawn breaking through clouds. Cuts closed, fevers cooled, broken bones knit together. Yet the gift made him an outcast. The villagers whispered that his power was strange, unnatural. Magic like that comes from dark places, the elders muttered. Better to keep our distance. Children were told to stay away. When Elias tried to help, they turned their backs or crossed the street. So he lived on the edge of the village in a tiny, crooked hut made of driftwood and moss, surviving on berries, river fish, and whatever scraps kind old Mara the baker sometimes left at his door. One chilly autumn evening, a terrible fever swept through the village like a shadow. It started with little Lila, the miller's daughter, then spread to the blacksmith, the weaver, even strong Farmer Turin. Coughs rattled like dry leaves. Faces grew pale. The village healer, an old woman named Grandmother Wren, tried every herb and poultice, but nothing worked. People gathered in fear around the central well, praying to the old spirits. Elias watched from the tree line, heart heavy. He knew he could help. He had healed birds with broken wings, foxes caught in snares, even a deer once that had been gored by a boar. But every time he stepped forward in the past, stones had been thrown, doors slammed. That night, under a moon as thin as a silver thread, he crept to the miller's house. Little Lila lay shivering on a straw pallet, her breathing shallow. The miller sat beside her, head in his hands. Elias hesitated at the window. Then he whispered through the crack, "I can help her, please." The miller looked up, eyes red. For a moment, suspicion flickered. But Lila whimpered, and something in him broke. "If you can save my girl," he rasped, "do it." Elias slipped inside. He knelt beside the bed and placed his small hands gently on Lila's burning forehead. The golden light appeared, soft at first, then brighter, like sunlight trapped in honey. It flowed into her, warm and steady. Lila's cough eased. Color returned to her cheeks. She opened her eyes and smiled sleepily. "It doesn't hurt anymore." The miller fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his rough face. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you, boy." Word spread like wildfire before dawn. One by one, families came to Elias's hut, quietly at first, then in a steady stream. He worked without rest, moving from cottage to cottage. His light healed the blacksmith's cough, cooled the weaver's fever, strengthened Farmer Turin so he could stand again. The village, once cold toward him, now watched in silent awe. By sunrise, the fever was gone. The village breathed freely again. People gathered in the square, murmuring. Some looked ashamed. Others wept openly. Grandmother Wren stepped forward, leaning on her staff. She had watched Elias all night from afar. "We were wrong," she said loudly. "We feared what we didn't understand. This boy, this orphan we turned away, carries a gift brighter than any herb or prayer I know." The miller lifted Elias onto his shoulders. "He saved us," he called. "He saved my Lila. He saved us all." Cheers rose, hesitant at first, then strong and warm. Children who once ran from him now ran to him, tugging his sleeves, asking his name. Old Mara pressed a fresh loaf into his hands, still warm from the oven. Farmer Turin clapped him on the back so hard Elias nearly toppled over. That evening, the village held its harvest fire festival as planned. Torches blazed. Drums thumped. People danced around the great bonfire. But this time, they pulled Elias into the circle. Someone placed a crown of autumn leaves on his head. Someone else handed him a wooden flute. He didn't know how to play, but he laughed, and for the first time, the sound echoed back from smiling faces. As the fire crackled high, Elias looked up at the stars. He no longer felt like a shadow on the edge. He belonged. Not because his gift was finally accepted, but because he had chosen kindness even when no one chose him. And from that night on, Elias was no longer the outcast boy in the crooked hut. He was Elias the healer, the heart of the village. The one who taught them that true magic ain't in power or light, it is in never stopping to care, even when the world turns its back. So if you ever feel alone, remember Elias. Your kindness might just be the light someone has been waiting for. Thanks for listening, friends. If this story touched you, give it a like, subscribe for more tales of courage and heart, and tell me in the comments, have you ever helped someone even when it was hard? I read every one. The end.